Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. My name is Tigger, and this is a space where we break down conversations shaping pop culture, politics, and what is happening with our systems of power, but in a way that actually makes sense in real life. Today, we're talking about something that affects all of us, whether we realize it or not. The law. Because right now, legal cases are trending on social media before facts are even clear. People are arguing about rights in the comment section. We're throwing around phrases like due process, free speech, and probable cause. But if we're honest, most of us never really taught what those terms actually mean. And we're in an era where information moves faster and outrage moves even faster. Misunderstanding of the law isn't just embarrassing, it can be dangerous. So today we're talking about what happens when internet becomes the courtroom and how we build real legal literacy in a digital age. To help me unpack, we're joined today by an attorney and legal commentator, Michael Foote, known online for breaking down legal complex issues in a way that are clear and accessible and actually useful. Let's have Michael on the podcast. Michael, thank you so much for being here, and let's get into the episode. Hi, everyone. So give a big round of applause and welcome to Michael Foote.
Yay, hi, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Oh my
Thank
God.
you for joining me. I honestly am obsessed with you every time I see your videos when you're talking about what you're doing as a lawyer in NYC while, this administration is doing everything
Right.
it's doing has been really inspiring. So just thank you for being here. So with that being said, I just want to get straight into the conversation. There's a lot of tea. Even before this, we were talking about Tyra Banks, but we'll get into that later. I basically want to talk about, it's like, what made you decide to take legal education to TikTok and Instagram in the first place?
Oh my God. I think it was just generally my mental illness. Like, I'm just so, like, I am truly a maniac. And, like, I think people think it's an act or that I'm pretending or that, like, the diva voice or, like, whatever it is that I'm doing on the internet is me, like, vamping for views. And I'm really am like this every day. Like, you can ask anyone that knows me. I am really fucking annoying and I'm really psycho in person. So like I just am fearless and I've always kind of been fearless. So I've just sort of been able to parlay that into this internet thing that I'm doing and it's so fun. But I decided to kind of like move things over to social media because I was realizing that I was able to have like a really cool impact on people's lives on like an individual case by case basis. But then after I'd been a lawyer for like a decade, I was like,
Yeah.
oh wait, I actually have learned a lot and I understand how what's happening in the court system better than a lot of people. So why don't I just kind of like info share that? So I'm super proud of that work that I do. I'm also really proud that I haven't really tried to monetize it on the internet. Like I'm like selling ads. I'm not like plugging shit. Like I've approached it from a perspective of, I'll make my money as a lawyer, but this is really info sharing. I want to share what's happening so that people are informed.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think what attracted me to you is the education I'm getting from what's going on. And I want to say from like your angle, because mine was very different, but what specific case or moment did you realize people were desperate for like legal clarity, right? And then you were like, this is my time to shine.
I don't know if I had that, but I will say that recently with the protests in Minnesota and Minneapolis with ICE violence on citizens, I don't know when exactly people started really caring about what I was saying on the internet, but I will say I noticed a huge sort of interest in what I was doing around that time. But it had been there before, and there's always been extraordinary citizens coming forward and protesting and putting their lives at risk. I will say that it really hit the mainstream media headlines very recently. So that was something that I did notice a huge shift in people excited and interested to hear the information I was sharing as if it were vital. I had always been sharing it, but I think that was the moment when people were like, all right. And I felt real responsibility in that moment because I was like, okay, I got to fact check myself. This is just me and an iPhone. This isn't
Yeah.
not on a network. I don't have a producer, so I've got to really make sure I'm researching my shit and I've got to make sure that I'm giving consistent messages, right? I'm posting every day. It's information for the specific community. It is helping protesters. It is helping migrants. It's helping people who want to help migrants. Like, how do we sort of come for this community of people who are committed to supporting migrants, committed to fighting for immigrant rights. How do I sort of service them with the knowledge that I have?
Were you surprised by the response? Like, again, from a creator standpoint, I post one video and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go live my life. And then I'm getting a text from my mom, like, what are you doing on MSNBC? What are you doing on my phone? Like, what is going on? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Right? So were you surprised by the response you got when you started posting these videos?
I don't know. I get I get very weird about the internet sometimes. Like I post all the time and I love doing it and I obviously post for attention, but I don't hate the attention I get, but I do have really strong boundaries with it. So like when I post, I log out of everything, I don't look at it, and usually I find out a couple days later if something took off or if people are really paying attention. It's just sort of how I maintain any sort of semblance of sanity. When I first started getting attention on the internet, it got really overwhelming really quickly because I just hadn't had an audience like that. No one gave a shit what I had to say. So suddenly when that happens, it can get really stressful. And I get a lot, I just got really stressed out. So I was like, oh fuck, like, I don't know what to do with this, but I've
Yeah.
been able to kind of set up these boundaries where I'm like, okay, if something's taking off, I don't give it a lot of attention or energy, you know, but it's true. Media does reach out, right? Like CNN wants a quote and they want me to do this thing. And then next thing I know, I'm putting on bronzer. It is this kind of explosion happens sometimes.
I love that. And it happens. I respect your thought process and how you want to feel comfortable. And I want to also talk about like, why do you think many Americans misunderstand basic legal concepts like due process and probable cause, right? For me, I definitely watch a lot of SVU, so I think I know how things work. I know the first thing that happens, I'm like, I'm calling an attorney, right? Like I know the basics.
Yes, I love to hear it.
So what do you think? Why do you think there's a broad misunderstanding
Yeah.
and you think that way? So,
I think it's lawyers' fault. I think it's the fault
mm,
of lawyers. Lawyers make this intentionally opaque. They are trying to gatekeep information oftentimes because they want you to hire them.
yeah.
Like I lose business. Like by making these videos, by breaking down legal concepts, by putting the power in the hands of the people who follow me, I lose clients. Like
Mhm.
that's money I could be making if I were like, Tiga, I'm not going to tell you like you can learn from my page what to
Yeah.
do, and then you don't have to pay me to be your lawyer. So I think there is this instinct in lawyers to sort of gatekeep information and make it intentionally opaque with legalese, with confusing terms. They're not going to break it down for people. They're
Mhm.
not going to just explain it to you like you're a friend having drinks
Mhm.
because it makes them seem invaluable, that you must have one in order to do anything. That's why I fucking love the internet. And I love all the lawyers that I follow. There are so many other lawyers on the internet who are doing what I'm doing way better. And I follow them and I learn from them and I've made friends with them. But, there are a lot of lawyers who aren't on the internet who do just want that quick buck. So, yeah, I think that's probably why it's so confusing. I mean, I'm confused by the law. I'm confused by judges. I'm confused by decisions that come down. And I'm like, I have to read this 3 times to kind of understand what's happening.
And what is one, I want to say, I know there's a lot, but what is one major legal myth that drives you crazy because it's like everywhere, right? Like, I want to know that from your thing. Like,
I think that you have to wait 24 to 48 hours before reporting someone missing.
wait, really? Okay, drop the T. I need to know this.
You can go right now, and that is the cops. Cops love to be like, well, you can't. There's a rule. There's the thing. No, there isn't. There is no rule. There is no law. The minute you know someone's missing, you can report it. That's it. There, you can report it, and they're gonna say, "Don't do it." No, you have to wait. You don't have to wait. If you know they're missing, if they're usually in a thing like, and it's so clear they're missing, report it. Cops don't want to do their jobs half the time. Like, if you're trying to report something, they're gonna make all these excuses why they don't have to do the work to actually do the paperwork to file the missing persons report. That's bullshit. Make them
So it's
do
just
it.
them stalling. It's basically like, okay, come back in 24 hours when I have the
Because
energy.
half the time people do turn up in that 24-hour window and then they don't have to do all the work.
Well,
That's my myth.
so that brings me to a current case that's currently happening. And I know you can put your 2 cents of Nantry Guthrie's mom. And like, there's kind of like an ethical and legal conversation that's happening right now around it with the Google Nest app situation, where
Right.
they got it from a video. She didn't have a subscription. Is there a sense of like, should people be scared that their Ring cameras are going to be tracking them like every which way? Or do you believe the administration is going to go, hey, well, to find illegal aliens, we're just going to hack their Ring cameras, right? So I want to take that to you and see what you think.
Yeah, ring cameras are really scary. I don't have one. I don't like them. It makes me concerned. The notion that people know who's coming and going from my home. I don't really know, why do we need them? Like, right, we live in a world where we're charging our vapes. We are plugging our phone into our sofa. Like, we've just gotten so extreme with technology that under the Fourth Amendment, we are giving away a lot of data, a lot of information about our day to day life that 20 years ago, 5 years ago, people would never know. And I think we've learned time and time again that we can't trust these big tech companies. Like, they always sell out the user. They're very rarely looking out for the consumer, and they're watching their bottom line. They care about their P&L. They care about their budget. Like, they don't care about you and your privacy most of the time. So generally what I explain to people about the Fourth Amendment and the private information that they share is that anytime you are giving your information to a third party, that can be a phone call you placed. You just let AT&T know that you placed a phone call. A text message. You just told Verizon what you put in writing. You have vanquished any expectation of privacy, and therefore it's not protected under the Fourth Amendment. So the rule under the Fourth Amendment is like, do you have a reasonable expectation of privacy? And if you do, then it's protected space, information by the Fourth Amendment. However, you waive that right of privacy if you start disclosing information. So when you send that text, when you make that phone call, when you install a Ring cam, and now okay, you waive that expectation of privacy because the court's going to say, well, you let Ring cam record every person that comes to your door. You didn't expect any privacy in your home. So you're sort of like giving away your rights when you're doing that. So I don't have one. I don't think people should have one. I think we've seen time and time again that tech companies will sell your ass for $1, and you're just get a fucking doorbell. Why do we need a Ring cam? Get a
Hey,
doorbell.
as someone who has like not the Ring camera, but the dupe, okay, and the dupe that's not with the subscription, and the dupe that
Timu.
I
The Timu.
the Timu Ring. It's basically that version. I live alone, so for me, like my
Yeah.
door doesn't have like a peephole, so I use my Ring to be like, okay, who it is or whatever. Or if I'm somewhere distant in my like house, I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I can speak into it, right? But at the same time, like I worry about that now because I'm like, do
Yeah.
I really need that doorbell because it
Right.
just could get hacked? But that leads me to my next question of, do you think online outrage helps accountability or does it undermine accountability when it comes to like legal processes?
No, I think it only helps. Love internet outrage. I think the only reason we have a closed government right now is because people flip the fuck out and because celebrities flip the fuck out on the internet. It was not
Okay.
just politicians, it wasn't just the people. Celebrities got in there. I hear from celebrities all the time. People reach out to me on my social media and they're like, "What can I do?" And I'm like, literally, babe, you are Oprah. Like, you have like 50 million followers. Like, what do you mean, what can you do? Oprah didn't reach out to me. That's an example. People of that ilk reach out to me and they're like, "How can I help?" And I'm like, "What do you mean, how can you help? Go live, say something, do something. What do you mean, how can you help? Repost some shit. Like, you have 15 million followers. Just say that you don't like what's happening and that this is where you should donate or this is what you should do. Like, use your platform. I don't need you in court next to me. I need you over here fighting the good fight in front of the public." So I think internet outrage only helps with accountability. No one, if everyone's watching, it's really hard to get away with some bullshit. That's how ICE got funded in the first place. Was the big beautiful bill. No one was out in the streets protesting. No one was flipping a shit online. It was right after the inauguration. Everyone was like, "Well, no, we couldn't possibly have fascism in America." It got passed. Lisa Murkowski screwed everyone over. Lisa Murkowski gets a lot of hate, but I think we can do better. So Like that is the reason she's the reason why she rolled over and the bill passed and then ICE got funded. Leave this all in her comment section, right?
No, I agree with you. I think as a content creator and even for you as a lawyer, like there is a lot of power in your voice. And people are like, well, I don't want to not have a brand deal. I'm like, fuck a brand deal. Your humanity's on the line, right? Like I would rather lose K than lose my next door neighbor because he's getting
Yeah,
snatched up like on a daily basis.
of
So
course.
thank you for that. And I think that's a really big discussion that people are having. So how should people,
I want to clarify though, because I think that people think they need to have a huge following to do something.
you
And
know,
I will say the collective voice of seeing millions of people freak the fuck out, the next door neighbor, the mom from the Facebook group, like people that I went to high school with who have 100 followers reposting shit. That was really like where the power was for me, where I felt a shift because those, I guess we'll call them micro influencers, like that, those folks who are just bringing information to small communities are oftentimes more trusted than people with huge followings.
I 100% agree. And I want to ask, like, how should people balance the emotional reactions with legal realities, right? I think a good example is I want to bring in Daddy Don Lemon. Yes, I called him Daddy Don Lemon. I want that trademarked on a shirt. I would like a lemon tree in the background somehow. But I remember when he got snatched up, like legitimately snatched up. I went on live and I was
Yeah,
like, they took Don. They've taken Don. A lot of us lost our minds. Like a lot of creators band together
yeah,
and they were like, that type of thing. And like emotionally, like our reaction was like, fuck. Then, his collective group of friends were like, let's get lawyers, let's explain this so it makes sense. Like, this is what's happening,
yeah.
this is what we know. But, like, how should people balance their emotional reaction? Because I feel like this is just the beginning of a big ass pot of hot mess that's going to keep happening, right? People going to keep getting snatched. The administration's going to keep lying. The Epstein's files aren't going to get released. And, how do people react to that?
I think whatever your reaction is valid. I think people are gaslighting themselves too much and saying, I get so many messages of like, I just can't possibly, I can't whatever. And that's okay. And you don't have to come to me and say, like, Michael, thank you for doing what you're doing. I couldn't possibly, like, I'm so broken right now. I'm in such a dark place. I think that's valid. I think acknowledge where you are. I've been in that dark place. 5 years ago, I was like deeply depressed. 10 years ago, or 15 years ago when I was in law school, I couldn't leave the house. So, like, I've been in those dark places. I've lived in those dark rooms. I've had the dark night of the soul. I've been there with you. It's okay. Acknowledge where you are and take it from there. I think it's really hard to kind of look at someone like me who's out in these streets being the maniac that I am and sort of like use that as a barometer of like where you need to go. I don't think that's like healthy. I don't think that's like a healthy way to approach getting involved. I think take that first easiest step. Maybe it's donating. Maybe it's reposting. Maybe it's joining a volunteer org. Maybe it's going to the ICE out of New York sort of meetup. Whatever that feels right for you, I think is the correct emotional response. I don't want to tell people how to feel. I don't want to tell people that they need to be dedicating their life to going to court every day like me. There's an ass for every seat. We need help in every single space here. We don't need 20 million lawyers. We need 20 million people committed to this cause with all various different skill sets. I think that's something that's really cool that came out of Minnesota is we had nurses, doctors, lawyers, people who could cook. We had people who, worked at where they had access to supplies. We had activists who understood how to organize. We had community organizers. We had people 3D printing whistles. Like everyone had a role that helped create this collective movement.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for that because even then, one, you convinced me not to go to law school. Good to know. Because I was contemplating, I was like, do I go to law school? Because I would never practice law. I would just be like, well, legally speaking, I would be that person. But that being said, like, I want to talk about, I feel like the law is being distorted by this administration in a way that, like, people don't think they're ever going to get justice. I think as a Black woman, I look at justice very differently. And I think with LGBTQ individuals and the broad spectrum of people who, again, are oppressed by this administration, look at it broadly or, like, differently, right? So do you think law is being simplified or being distorted by this administration currently in a way that people aren't trusting the legal system?
I think they're distorting it, but they're not doing a very good job.
Hmm.
Like everyone leapt on Pam Bondi in the last congressional hearing because she
As
committed
she should.
perjury. Yeah, under oath, committed perjury, and then was like talking about the Dow, like in
Hmm.
response to questions about Epstein victims, right? So I think it's really funny for me as a lawyer to watch them so poorly attempt to distort the law when even non lawyers, the general public, are looking at what they're doing and being like, bitch, what? Like, that is whack. Like, what are you saying? So I think it's like really funny to watch them. I mean, it's not funny to watch them gaslight victims. Like, that's
Hmm.
not enjoyable for me. But I do think it helps discredit them. So we're in a
Mm.
place now where credibility is so far gone. Trump's approval rating is at less than 29%. I think it's 28% right
As it
now.
should.
And it went down from like 35%. Like they keep digging themselves into a hole. They just pulled this morning, made Colbert pull the Texas
Yep.
political blue politician, Tedesco, I think his name is.
Tallarico.
Tallarico, sorry. I think Tedesco is the hot sauce that I use. Anyway,
It is,
so
but
they made him pull that, they made Colbert pull that segment. I just made a video. Now that man is a household name. I mean, granted, I couldn't remember his name a second ago, but now he's a household name. Everyone's focused on that race, and everyone knows that Trump is worried that Texas is so worried that Texas is gonna go blue that he had the FCC call Colbert. Like, that is so crazy to me. It's like, you're using this law. Sure, you're distorting the law. Sure, you're using it to move forward your agenda. But you're so bad at it that everyone's seeing through it, and it's actually discrediting you. So
I agree with that.
I kind of love to see it because it's kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of like that friend who's like so bad at lying and you like catch them in a lie and then they just keep sort of like explaining this story where the lie keeps getting worse and you're like, "Hun, do you hear yourself? Like you're so obvious, just admit it. Like just admit that you're lying. It's fine. Like I'm right."
You should watch the show Tell Me Lies and just know that it's like straight up rage bait for anything liars.
I love it.
I'm never going to get into it because I'm resting from that show. And we're about to wrap this up, but I thank you from the bottom of our heart for like sharing your insights and your knowledge. And again, huge fan of your work and what you're doing. And I can't wait to see what's coming from it. But if listeners remember one thing from this conversation, what should it be?
It should be that Tika should go to law school.
Down to that.
I think if I really want people to remember that they can and should speak out. They have rights and they have First Amendment rights, no matter what your immigration status is, no matter what, your background is. You have rights in this country and a lawyer can help you with that. You can research it on your own,
Mhm.
but don't let anyone scare you or intimidate you into believing that you don't have rights because you absolutely do. And accountability is coming. It may not come this second. It is down the road for sure in certain spaces. But I think so oftentimes people are afraid or nervous to flex their democratic muscles and know that they have those rights.
Mhm.
I get so worried. I think that's when the administration wins, is when I hear people say, well, I didn't know I could do that, or I didn't know I could say that, or I didn't know that I could file a lawsuit, or I didn't know that I was supposed to receive that warning, or that I had my day in court in front of a judge. I get worried when people aren't informed about their rights because, as we saw
Mhm.
with us putting pressure on the administration around defunding DHS and ICE, it only works if we work it, right? We have
Mhm.
to work the system. We have to invoke our rights if they're going to be taken seriously. So I encourage everyone to ensure that they stay informed, stay a part of the conversation, even if it gets fatiguing, take little breaks to hold boundaries and space for you and your emotions. Keep paying attention. I think we're doing a great job. Like, I'm really proud of everyone on the internet right now. Like, I just absolutely, it's been invigorating for me to go to court every day and then like flip open my phone and see people from their homes from everywhere in the country
Mhm.
absolutely taking a giant dump on this administration. It brings true joy to my heart.
Yep.
And then the second thing is that my podcast is every Thursday on Exactly Right and iHeart. It is Brief Recess with Michael Foote and my best friend Melissa Malbranch. So please listen, tune in, and I hope to see you all there.
Thank you so much, Michael, for being here for this discussion. And again, I will link below his podcast. You guys should check it out. It has more knowledge and more gossip and more tea.
Thank you.
So thank you guys so much for being here. I just want to say a huge thank you again to Michael for the conversation. I think it's powerful about what you're doing and what you said and explained to all of us. And it really means a lot. What you do, reminding people the law isn't about some abstract thing happening somewhere else. It's shaping our lives every single day. And maybe the biggest takeaway from today's episode, opinions are easy. Legal understanding takes work. Social media might move fast, but the legal system doesn't. And we shouldn't operate on viral moments. Due process matters, context matters, facts matters. If you learned something from this episode, share it. Send it to your group chat, have conversations offline, have conversations online. Because the more we understand how law actually works, the less power of misinformation has over us. You can follow Michael for more legal breakdowns and insights on all his social media pages and his podcast, which is linked below. Thank you again for being here, and thank you for continuing the conversation with me. I'll see you next time, friends. Bye.